Three. Yo, Mike Angelino Sports. What's going on? I have my special guest from Couch Sports, my boy Jay. What it is?
What's up, man? It's been a cool minute since we did our last podcast together. How you
Yeah,
been?
man. Yeah, man. People were asking for you, man. There's a guy named Mitsu. He was asking for you. Like, man, I'll bring him back, man. I'll bring him back. So yeah, man. Welcome back to the show. But man, let's get straight to the point. I'm gonna put pressure on you. I'm gonna cut the ring. Put pressure on you. Porter versus Terrence Crawford. What's up with that? What do you have to say about that?
Bro. I don't know. Hopefully it does happen. Like we were talking about it earlier. It's not official yet, but there's a tentative date because I know Bob Aaron was talking about it last week, and he said November 6th or November something was supposed to be the date. But they are scheduled for a purse bid, and man, if that fight could finally happen, bro, now we're gonna see if your boy Crawford's the real deal because that's gonna be his first big test. You know me, I've been talking smack, not talking smack about him, but I've been keeping it real when it comes to him and if he's the real deal and all that. He's the best welterweight in the world, and finally he's gonna get that test. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, that's my boy Crawford, man. I got Canelo for sure. That's my boy, but I like Crawford, man. But if you're the best, take the test. So yeah, man. Crawford's he's gonna if he fights Porter, that's a great test because Porter fights everybody, man. And shout out to Cholo Boxing, man. My boy Ed. He said that that Porter's got him. I'm like, hey, man. So right now we're gonna break down a little bit of how the purse bid works a little bit, and we're gonna do the tell of the tape of the fight. So yeah, so can you just give a little bit more detail of the purse bid? Who's doing the purse bid, and who are the different players in the purse bid?
Yeah, so since Crawford is a WBO champion, the purse bid, if they can't come to a deal because Porter is his number one mandatory right now. So what the WBO does, or any kind of sanctioning body does, is when there's a mandatory, they make you fight them. If not, then you have to. Usually, most of the time, you get stripped of that belt, or not. There's a fee to put that person aside if you want to fight somebody else. But so since Porter is the mandatory and they couldn't come to a deal, the way the sanctioning belts or each organization puts pressure on the champion is they have purse bids, and then so when that happens, different networks all around can bid on the fight, and the highest bidder gets the fight. Mm-hmm. And since Terrence Crawford is the champion, usually I think with WBO he gets around like 60% of the revenue of the bid, and that's how it goes. So it makes it a little bit easier to make a fight. So that's what's going on now. I think their first purse bid was supposed to be like September 1st, but it got extended like another 2 weeks. Okay. So by then, hopefully they could agree to a fight. Usually when promoters and fighters ask for that extension, it's because they're probably near an agreement to a fight and they don't want to go to the mandatory purse bids. So hopefully that's the case here because we need that fight soon, because if that is one of those things where it keeps prolonging, and I don't want to see that fight next year or the summer of 2022 or next, winter or fall or whatever. That has to happen now, especially if, Crawford wants to show that, he's legit and all that.
Yeah. And who are the players? Just real quick. There's Triller. I heard you. Give me those.
Yeah, my bad. Oh, so Triller's one of them. They said that they're gonna bid for it. We'll see if that happens. And also, the Zone, your boy Eddie Hearn said he was interested in making it. He didn't say he was for sure gonna make an official purse bid, but that they were gonna talk about it. But it's what they said on ESPN was that ESPN, which is Bob Aaron, where he has his fights for Top Rank, and PBC, that they're gonna be the two most aggressive bidders if it came to that. Just because, of course, Porter's the PBC, and then Crawford's, Top Rank. So both networks really want to fight. So it's going to be either between BBC or ESPN.
Okay.
If it goes to first, but we'll see.
We'll see. But all right. So let's get straight to the point, man. Let's do a little bit of a tell of the tape, man. Crawford versus Porter. Let's give me. I'll shoot some numbers. I'll shoot some categories, and we'll go from there. Let's talk about power. What man has the best power if they face off against each other?
For me, especially at 147, since they're both welterweights, I feel like Porter edges them out. Oh, wow. Just because he has, well, we're going to talk about this more. We're going to go to context in this, but he has a history of fighting better opposition and hurting them. I was watching the Spence Porter fight earlier, and he was able to hurt Spence a couple of times, especially I think the first time was like in the third round when he caught him with the left hook. Spence wasn't badly hurt, but you know you could tell he was a little shaky. And you know, Porter has gone down with like, you know, he's gotten in big exchanges with other top welterweights at the time. Thurman, he was able to stun him a little bit. You know, with Garcia, Bronner, those type of guys. So when it comes to power, I'm gonna give Porter the edge just because he's like a full blown welterweight. And you know, Crawford could hold his own at 147 definitely, but I don't know if he has that A+ power at that division.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Porter.
Okay. Yeah. I seen Porter. His last fight, I think his last fight was versus Ugas, I believe. And
it was his last fight was against, it was a Stay Busy fight versus a no name in August during COVID. And then he fought before that, it was Spence, and then Ugas was before that.
Yeah. Oh man, that was he was dropping bombs on Ugas, man, and Ugas took it, but he was dropping some bombs on. That was a good fight, man. So Terrence Crawford is what, 5'8", 5'9". Ugas is 5'9", so he's like kind of like the same height, and he's slick with it, man. And Crawford has power, man. I don't know why his best work is at 140, but Crawford has power. But like you said, and what the other insiders say, that he hasn't fought up to par competition. So all right, we'll give it a Porter. You have something to say about that?
Yeah, and then not just that, not that like the elite level competition, but like his power. Like I feel like Khan wasn't a real welterweight. Like he was fighting at welterweight, but his best days was at 140. Yeah. Kell Brook, he was a good welterweight, but he was done. Like his chin, and he had a messed up eye because of the Triple G fight. And then Khan too. He fought Khan after Khan fought Canelo, so we knew that Khan was a wrap. And then Mean Machine, he's a solid welterweight. But a lot of people say he's more of a 140 pounder, but not that he's a small 147 pounder, if that makes any sense. And then we saw Crawford's power against Mean Machine. So it's not that the level of competition, but like I feel like he hasn't fought a big welterweight yet, and I think that's what Porter is. So that's my biggest thing. Like at 140, Crawford did have power because he was finishing dudes off. Yeah. And then, you know, he went to the body and all that. He's a killer. Like, if you ask me who's a better closer when it comes to, like, when your opponent's hurt and who finishes the deal, I will give that edge to Crawford because once he smells blood in the water, it's a wrap, dude. Goes to the body, he just rushes you. And, but, like, just power, like, at 147, because Porter is a big fucking welterweight. So I'll just give the edge to Porter by a bit.
Okay. Let's talk about the fundamentals. Who has a better jab? Because the jab opens everything. The jab, it's the key to opening. It's one of the biggest keys to victory. Who has a better jab?
I was actually going back and forth in this. At first, I thought Crawford's jab was way better, but I was watching, you know, Porter versus Ugas versus the Spence fight and against other guys too. And I think Spencer's jab's underrated. I'm gonna give it to Crawford, but just by slight, just because I like how Crawford uses his jab better. He has a solid jab. He's longer than Porter. He has that 74-inch wingspan, so he knows how to use it, just like Ugas. And then he uses it in different ways. Like it's not just a power jab or a rangefinder. Like against Khan, he was like kind of like slapping Khan's hand down at different angles and throwing the jab from there. Yeah. So I like how Crawford uses his jab better. And then with Porter, it's either a rangefinder where he throws like those two little throwaway fake jabs to get inside and throw the overhand right, or it's a power jab where he tries to use it to hurt you. So both guys have good jabs, dude. I feel like Porter's boxing skill is underrated. Like I feel like we look at him more of a brawler than he is like a boxer. Yeah. And against that Ugas fight, which we'll talk about in a bit, he showed some skill, dude. But I'll just give the slight edge to Crawford's jab just because he's longer and he knows how to throw it more.
Okay. Yeah. You made a good point. It's not just throwing the jab. It's a throwaway punches. It's pairing. It's throwing the jab in an angle, hitting. So yeah. And another point I want to make, and backing up your point with Crawford's jab. Hey man, he has a jab he has a left hand jab, and he also has a right hand jab. So he has he jabs with both hands, and I think when he goes with his right, it's a little faster. So let's give the edge to Crawford. Do we agree?
Yeah, I think like you said, that's true. You could say he could jab with both hands, which is which is, you know, not something, you know, I don't think any real fighter, any other fighter could say, because that's the only one I see him switch to like southpaw half the time, or what, like one part of the fight could be, you know, orthodox, and then like the next 3-4 rounds he'll switch to southpaw. It's crazy, dude. Like he's legit comfortable with both. We've seen other fighters in the past switch to southpaw for a little bit and then just go back to their, you know, the regular stance for the rest of the fight. But yeah, with the jab, like I said, like again, it was against Khan and Brook too, I think, where he was kind of pairing. He was slapping Khan's or Brook's jab down, and then he was throwing it from there, like at weird angles. And I like that. I was like, oh shit, I don't remember seeing that the first time around. But I like Crawford's jab. His jab is definitely better.
All right, real quick. What about defense? Who has better defense?
I'll give it to Crawford, but with me, that's like when I see both guys, I don't really look at them as defensive fighters. Not that they have bad defense. Like Porter does do he'll move his, you know, head up and down, do that little bob and weave, and then tries to get inside. Mm-hmm. But both the guys do make defensive mistakes. Mm-hmm. We're talking about when Crawford was fighting Khan and somebody else too. And even Tim Bradley said it when he was commenting the fight. And I was watching it when I caught it. Crawford has a bad habit of pulling back, and he could get caught with that right. So he has bad habits too, or he's just like kind of not underestimating his opponent, but like say if he relaxes a little bit. And he also likes freaking what's it called? You always say it too. He likes when he throw like he lands a 1-2 and he's just there, like kind of.
He admires his work.
Yeah, he admires his work sometimes a little bit too much. Okay. Which I mean, you know, when he's not in danger and he's fighting like, you know, like an old Khan or whatever, that's fine. But if you do that against Porter, who's going to be rushing you and goes through adversity, he's going to make mistakes, and you don't want to do that. So, I mean, I guess I'll give the skill to Crawford just because his footwork's a little bit better, and and when it comes to range, he knows how to get out of there when he's not making those mistakes. Okay. But I think Crawford edge defensively, but not by a lot.
And talking about defense, or making those little mistakes, or maybe because they are offensive fighters. They both got rocked. Both of these fighters have gone down or gotten punch drunk with a big shot, and they do recover, and they win fights. I mean, yeah. So they both faced adversity. They both get rocked because they're in there. They're in there. So yeah. What do you think about that? Their chin.
Yeah, Porter has definitely faced adversity, almost like in every big fight he's been in. Spence rocked him a little bit, even with Bronner. When he dominated that fight. Yeah, Bronner dropped him at the end. Yeah. Bronner didn't really have the legs to kind of finish him off, but still, you know. And then with that Ugas fight too, everyone was talking about how Ugas was good, and that was kind of his breakout fight versus Porter. And then like supposedly, you know, he got raw depending on who you ask. Mm-hmm. But I really like Porter in that fight too, dude, because from rounds like 4 through 8, the first couple 2-3 rounds were pretty even. Guys, they were going back and forth. Ugas was kind of trying to like set his type of fight. But like from rounds 4 through 8, Ugas was kind of like running away with it. It looked like, because he was fighting in the inside, countering him to the body. And it looked like he was kind of taking over the fight. And then in round 9, when I thought like coming into it, I'm like, all right, Porter's got to sell out, stay in the inside. This guy hasn't hurt him yet. He's hitting him with a good shot, but he hasn't rocked him yet. And just go all in and sell out in the inside and try to catch him with the overhand right, which, you know, he had some success. But then round 9, Porter started boxing, and it was working, dude. Yeah. The first 2 minutes, he was winning clearly. And then Ugas kind of stopped his momentum and kind of won like the last 30 seconds of the round. And the same thing with round 10 and 11. Like Porter showed he could outbox him, was throwing some combos, little left hook in and out. But and you know, he could have easily just gave in, and then Ugas could have just took over, you know, and then could have said after that was a bad, you know, stylistic fight. But he's been through adversity, dude, and he never gives up. And that's the thing too, when Crawford puts these guys away, like it's over. Like Mean Machine, as soon as, you know, he started going to the body against him, he kind of just caved in like he did against Ortiz. Not that he quit or anything, but then after that it was a wrap. With Khan, once he hurt him, started going to the body, same thing. Brook, you know, they stopped that fight right away. Like Brook looked out of it and all that. So Crawford hasn't really faced anybody that I know of that's kind of like fought back. When it looks like Crawford's running away with it, that it's their turn to rally. So I think that's what's going to happen too. That's why I'm interested in watching this fight, because it's not. Crawford's going to go on a run, I think, and then Porter's going to answer right back.
Okay. And I really think it's going to be an action-packed fight, inside game. I feel like it's eventually is going to be in here. Eventually, it's going to become an inside game. Who has the edge in the inside game?
That's tough, dude. Both those can fight in the inside when they have to. I guess I'll go with Porter just because he's done it more against better competition. And, you know, he likes to smother you. And that's what I think it makes this fight even more interesting. Against Spence, you know, he was smothering him, trying to take that fight to the inside, you know, pushing Spence against the ropes, making him feel uncomfortable. He tried to do the same thing with Ugas, even though Ugas could fight in the inside. He was hitting him with, like, uppercuts, hooks to the body. They were going at it, dude.
Yeah.
And then with the other fighters, that was a dope fight. I feel like Spence is more comfortable, like, and if it's an inside fight, especially for long periods of times. Then Porter, then more than Crawford is. But Crawford, if he has to, he'll get nasty and you know, dig deep in the inside too. But I'll just give it to Porter just because, you know, he's done it more in bigger fights against like tougher opposition, and that's kind of his like bread and butter. Likes to smother you, get in that little phone booth position, dig little hooks to the body and all that. So if it does, it's gonna get real interesting if they make it a phone booth fight.
I just think Crawford, he works the body. Porter does too, but Crawford has these little pivots and he throws those uppercuts in an angle. And I think he has a little bit more tricks in the inside. But Porter's a rough and tough guy, man. He's in there. He's in great shape because Rocky recovers fast, dude. So yeah, it's real close. I don't know. It's real close.
They're both good on the inside. They could. You could say Crawford has more tricks, like you said, kind of those uppers and get into angles, and then where Porter's just more relentless and he just tries to like smother you, puts his body weight on you, gets you even more tired, throws those like overhand lefts, rights, hooks to the bodies. But if it gets to that type of fight, it's gonna be really interesting.
Okay, and real quick, outside game, who can box better? Who has better legs?
Crawford. Yeah, that's when Crawford he stands out in that just because, you know, he's longer, has that jab 1-2, you know, could switch both southpaw and orthodox. He has more tricks, knows how to set up traps too. I think if Porter knew how to set up traps better, like I think he could have hurt Ugas and like won that fight more convincingly. But I'll give the boxing history Crawford just because he knows how to use the whole ring, knows when to go to the body, especially if he hurts you. Does that, like I said, does that little pairing with this like jab and all that. So I'll give the edge to Crawford, even though Porter could box though.
Yeah. All right. So this is what one of my favorite sayings: if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Let's talk about something that no one really talks about: rope game. You have to have rope game because eventually, if it's a pressure fighter, he's gonna take you to the ropes. You have to learn how to bounce in the ropes. For example, Canelo versus Triple G. Canelo should have never gone to the rope, but guess what? Triple G cut the ring off, and Canelo felt comfortable being in the ring. Salvador Sanchez bouncing off the ring. Ali, you have to have road game. I know it shouldn't go to the ring. If I was Crawford, maybe I shouldn't be in the ring because this guy bangs. But you have to get ready. Or even Porter, you have to get ready. You have to have road game. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Who has better road game? Have you seen them before, or what do you think?
I don't know, because I don't feel like Crawford's never really had to have, like, I never seen a real rope game from him just because he hasn't fought that type of fighter yet. Yeah. He's so good at keeping it like in the middle of the ring, and he knows when to impose his will and start cutting off the ring, like when he has somebody hurt. Porter, I've seen it a little bit, like against Spence, when Spence tried to turn him. Mm-hmm. Spence was kind of pushing him on the ropes, trying to bully him, and then Porter turned him and started trying to get him to the body. So I guess that counts as a rope game. So I mean, like for me, neither fighter sticks out in that, even though I have seen it a little bit more from Porter, like against Ugas too, when towards the end of the fight, like the last couple, like the championship rounds, where Ugas was he kept rushing him, was trying to close the distance on him. Porter was using his outside game, and he was on the ropes a little bit. So I guess Porter, but neither fighter really, like I could say, like is comfortable on the ropes. Maybe Crawford is, and we just haven't seen it yet. But I don't know.
We haven't seen it yet. And you make a great point, dude. Ugas, that's a great fight to get ready for Crawford. A 5'9" guy, 5'10", Cuban tall, slick fighter, counters you. He changes levels up and down, overhands. Just the only thing he's missing is switching to stance. But other than that, dude, he's really good, man. I could compare him with Crawford a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention earlier, bro. Just because Ugas is long, just like Crawford, he's like 5'9", 5'10" too.
Yeah.
He could counter from the inside, and that's why I think Porter was trying to box more than we usually see him. Because every time they got in that kind of phone booth type of fight, Ugas was ready. We'll counter him with left hooks to the body, little uppercuts, and he was just long that stiff jab. So that was a perfect fight to get Porter ready for the fight, for the Crawford fight if they do fight. And that's why I got Porter winning, bro. That's get a little spoiler, but I think Porter's gonna take it just because of that too.
Okay. I got Crawford, but all right, you got him winning. Is it gonna be a decision or is it gonna be a knockout or a stoppage? What do you think?
I'm gonna give it. I have a decision, Porter, but it's gonna be a fight where I think Porter's gonna hurt him a couple of times. I think he's gonna drop him too, just because when I mentioned earlier that Crawford has that bad habit of pulling out, and he's still in range for that overhand right, and that's kind of perfect for Porter. He does that a little bit too much, and I feel like if they get an exchange, Crawford's gonna land something. I mean, Porter's gonna land something, dude. Either an overhand left, overhand right. He has decent power with both hands. He could hurt Crawford if he does. And then, both guys, like we said already, both guys have gotten like a little bit stunned in the past before.
Yeah.
Crawford got dropped by Mean Machine with a little hook. He got timed with it too. Mean Machine's pretty good, and he was patient. Yeah. And I think we're gonna see that more from Porter. He's gonna be willing to box a little bit more, pick his spots. And I think Crawford, after a couple rounds, is gonna get a little bit impatient because he's not dominating like he's used to dominating. And then that's when I think he's gonna be able to make a mistake. And I think Crawford's gonna land something, an overhand right. I don't know why I'm seeing that overhand right. Porter, he's gonna get caught pulling back or something. Yeah, no, Crawford's gonna get caught with an overhand right by Porter.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, my bad. Yeah. So because when Mean Machine was giving Crawford trouble, when he was patient, wasn't overshooting or anything, and then Crawford kind of like, it's not that he didn't know what to do, but he was getting impatient himself. So because he wants to counter, and Mean Machine wouldn't commit, and I think Porter's gonna do that a little bit in the beginning because we seen him box a little, like the Ugas fight, where he knew the inside game wasn't really working too good. So he wanted to box a little bit and went around the ropes and all that when Ugas was coming. So I think he's going to catch him with a couple like overhand rights or a left hook or something. And I think like he's going to mix it up too. Work a little bit in the outside, smother him, make it an ugly fight sometimes. And I think Crawford's kind of be like, oh shit, like what the fuck's going on here type of thing, Yeah. But it's going to be a good fight. I don't think he's going to run right through Crawford. Crawford's going to give him something. And I think there's going to be rounds or like a point in the fight where it's going to look like Crawford might be taking over. And I think that's when we're going to see another like Porter rally and like make it dramatic or something. But I think if I had a pick, I don't know why something's telling me Porter. I just feel like he's going to catch him with something.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, man, it's going to be a great fight, man. Finally, we have, it has to happen, but I hope it happens. But yeah, we all know that Crawford was with Bob Arum, or he has a last fight with Bob Arum. So and then his contract's over. So he couldn't when he with Bob Arum, they don't do business with Al Heyman and vice versa. So yeah, man, it's a shame that we didn't get to see him versus the Danny Garcias, and I hope we do because he's 33 years old, and yeah, I hope this is the beginning of many great fights for Crawford and Porter, man. They can match up, and yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I always give Crawford a hard time. Like he's dope. I'm not gonna say that he's overrated or he got no skill or but like at some point in time, you gotta be like, all right, we see what you could do. Now it's time to like he's been taking those little pop quizzes and little monthly exams, but now it's time to take a midterm at least, So I think this is gonna be a good test for him. Porter is not a A++ like a superstar fighter, but I think he's right under it. A-, B+ type of guy. Yeah. Who, if you're not the real deal, you're gonna get exposed by him. You're gonna get fucked up. So that's what I like about it. But like I said, this fight has to happen in November or whatever they said. Because if it happens early next year, they say, or in the summer of 2022, then I'm like, I'm over it. Like,
Yeah.
nah. Or they fight somebody first and then they'll fight each other. They both, I'm like, nah. Because it has to happen now. Because I don't want Porter to get too old, and then that's gonna be an excuse against Crawford too, Because what if Porter fights again and he looks bad? Then it's not gonna be the kind of the same excitement for that fight. But and then activity, like both guys are the same too. Like the last Crawford fight was against Brooke, like last November, and then Porter fought like last August too. So activity, you can't say one guy's more active than the other, but so it should be a good fight if hopefully it happens, which I expect it to. So we'll see, dude. Why do you think Crawford's gonna win, man? Now it's your turn to.
Man, it's hard for me to make great points because I can't measure him because Porter has a better resume. So yeah, man. So it's hard for me to make a great point. The only thing I can tell you is the skill level. I think he has more skills, more weapons, and a better IQ inside the ring. Yeah, he does mistakes, but Porter does mistakes too. I saw the Ugas fight. Everyone thought, including myself, like, hey, this guy, Ugas saying, oh shit, I saw something. Oh, the banger became the boxer, and that's good, man. If you can't bang inside, you have to box. You have different weapons. So I saw something, and I'm like, what if it would have been this guy? Because they're kind of similar. But my argument isn't strong because everyone, their counters like, but who has he fought? But what about, and you know what? It's true, dude. So if you say Porter has the edge, you have a great argument. And my argument isn't as solid. But the thing is, I strongly feel he has better skills to pay the bills. That's it.
Yeah, well, you're going with the eye test and what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And see, that's the other factor too with me is we've seen Porter go through adversity, like we talked about before, and he's answered the call. Like he hasn't won every fight, but like he's never gotten knocked out. And we're like, oh, Spence, as soon as Spence hurt him, it was over. Or, when he fought Thurman hurt him and finished him. Every time, he got caught with the punch and he got a little bit dizzy with Ugas too. He always answered, always answered. And he always just fought back and made it a hell of a fight. Yeah. With Crawford, he has, like we said, he has been stunned against Mean Machine, but that was pretty much it. Everybody else, I think before that, the last fight he faced adversity was against Gamboa. Mm-hmm. And then Gamboa was a little bit older when Gamboa was kind of outboxing him in the first part of the fight. And then he switched to southpaw and kind of took over and knocked him out. So that's the thing. If Porter makes it a rough fight, and it's like, say he stuns Crawford and he makes like his type of fight, how is Crawford going to respond? Because he's used to fucking taking fools out early and dominating. So that's my other question too. That's kind of like in the back of my mind, like, oh shit, if Crawford could do that and that's the deal, it's gonna be a classic, bro. And then that's when Crawford's gonna be like, oh shit, like, all right, yeah, he's top 3 pound for pound for sure. Like, no debate, top 2 or whatever.
Yeah. And you're right, dude. And he fought Benavidez. I believe he's at 147, and he had kind of trouble with Benavidez. Man, he was long. Benavidez had fast hands, and he was getting hit. But at the end, boom, he knocked him out. So, yeah.
So we'll see, dude. It's a dope fight. Like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, Porter's gonna fuck him up. Nah, because Crawford's got skill. Like, I see the same things you do. Just that's the thing. Like, I'm getting anxious because that fool's 33. He's older than Canelo, and he hasn't had that big fight yet. Yeah. He fought Posto, made Posto look like a fool, which I mean that counts for something. Horn, that was Horn. I think he was a one-hit wonder, but Crawford's got the skill, dude. Like I said, like I see the things he does in the ring. I'm like, oh shit, like that's dope. But now it's time to put that to the test, and we'll see. So.
Yeah, I hope it happens, man. We need this fight. So I hope the purse bid happens, and we get this fight, and we're gonna continue to bring you updates if they sign the contract and this and that. Anything else you have to say? Where can we find you before I close it off, brother?
Oh yeah, at Couch Talk. You can find us on Twitter. We're gonna come up with a couple more episodes since football season is upon us. Tomorrow morning, baby, the first NFL Sunday of the year. So we'll be more active. But yeah, at Couch Talk.
All right. So catch my boy at Couch Talk on YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. So hit him up, catch him up, sock him up. Oh no, don't do that. And yeah, man. So this is Mike Angelino Sports. I'm gone.